Good morning. We're in the record. Good morning. As chairperson of the Alcoholic Beverage and Cannabis Board for the District of Columbia, and in accordance with DC Code Section 2571 et seq of the Open Meetings Act, OMA, I'm welcoming you to the regular scheduled meeting of the Alcoholic Beverage and Cannabis Board. This meeting is being conducted pursuant to guidance made available by the District of Columbia's Office of Open Government regarding electronic meetings held by public bodies. Electronic meetings by the ABC Board are authorized pursuant to Section 2577B of the Open Meetings Act. Pursuant to the OMA requirements, notice of today's meeting was provided 48 hours in advance of the meeting on ABCA's website and on the district central meeting calendar. The notice includes the time, date, agenda, and call-in or login information for public participation. This electronic meeting is being hosted by a WebEx account provided by the District of Columbia government. Please address any questions or complaints to the OOG at opengovoffice@dc.gov. My name is Donovan Anderson. I'm chairperson of the board. I would like to introduce the other members of the ABC board who are also participating electronically. Please respond when I announce your name. Mr. James Short.
Mr. James Short, present.
Mr. Silas Grant.
Mr. Silas Grant, present.
The board has 3 members in attendance for the conduct of business today, and that constitutes a quorum. Before we get underway with today's hearing calendar, I need to make a few instructions very clear so that the conduct of these hearings is understood by everyone. There are 7 cases scheduled for today. Once their case is called, I will take a moment for IT specialists to elevate the rights for each party to enable their camera and microphone. Then and only then will you have the ability to enable your equipment. If your case has not been heard, you will remain mute and your camera will be disabled. Should you have, at the conclusion of each case, the parties will have the option to leave. If the party chooses to stay, all cameras and microphones for the concluded case will be disabled. Should you have any questions or require technical assistance during the hearing, please submit them using the question and answer feature. Our first case this morning on our protest hearing status calendar is case number 24 PRO 00004, New Smoke Shop, license number 126727. Good morning, Mr. Oriana. Can you please elevate the rights of the parties in this case?
Good morning. Isa Banera, your access has been elevated. Drew Courtney, your access has been elevated. And that appears to be all, Chairman.
Thank you. Could I have the parties turn the camera on? All right.
Good morning. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
This is
All right.
Isa Benora from New Leaf.
Hold on, sir. Hold on 1 minute.
Of course.
All right. This is actually the first protest hearing status that we're having for a cannabis. So it's a little bit different this morning. So let me have the licensee. Can you spell and state your name for the record?
Of course. My name is Isa Benora. It's ISSA. Last name is Benora. B as in boy. A. N like no. N like no. OURAH. Now presenting New Leaf Smoke Shop.
Good morning, sir. Are you you said you're representing? What's your relationship to the establishment?
I'm the owner of the establishment. Yes,
all right. Thank you. And we have a court reporter. So one of the reasons why I ask everyone to spell and state their name, we have a court reporter, so you will have a transcript of this hearing. Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Ms. Courtney, good morning. Can you spell and state your name for the record?
Sure. My name is Drew Courtney.
I'm sorry, Mr. Courtney. I apologize.
Doesn't bother me. My name is Drew Courtney, DREW COURTNEY, and I'm the designated representative from ANC 6C.
Good morning, sir. All right. All right. This is as I stated before, the first medical cannabis protest hearing status that we've had. And so I'm not sure if the parties are familiar with this process. So at this juncture, I'll ask, are there any preliminary matters, meaning that not substantively what's going on, but are there any preliminary matters that you want to bring to the attention of the board? Let's start first with the licensee. Well,
No.
preliminary, not substantive, like, okay, do you have, like, okay, I'm having trouble getting in contact with the ANC, or just those type of issues?
I mean, we've been in touch. Drew was supposed to send me the draft voluntary agreement no later than Monday. I haven't gotten it yet, but I think it looks like he's traveling. Looks like he's in a hotel room, so he might be busy.
You do have it, but you haven't had it for very long.
Oh, I just got it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
That's all.
All right,
So
so-
I just but we've been in
Go ahead,
touch,
sir.
and it looks like we're you know, the wheels are in motion for us to come up with an agreement.
All right. Mr. Courtney, anything you want to bring to the attention of the board?
No, just that I am very optimistic that we'll be able to reach a settlement agreement. So we want to avoid going through the rigmarole of an entire protest hearing. I think we're very close.
All right. As a placeholder, this matter is scheduled for a protest hearing on March 20th, 2024 at 1:30.
Yep.
And so if the parties believe that this matter will be settled, you can let the board know as soon as possible that that you believe that this case is going to be settled, so we can take this off the calendar. But just in case it's not settled, and if it's going to go to a protest hearing, so let me give you the instructions of, just for the record. So if it's going to a protest hearing, what needs to be done? Now that we have scheduled this matter for a protest hearing, there are a few things that I would like to instruct the applicant and the protest about, so that the protest hearing is focused and addresses only those issues that are being protested. The board does not intend to hear testimony on matters that are not relevant to this case. You should have received by electronic or regular mail a letter explaining the protest process, a copy of the protest information form, and a copy of the exhibit form. If you do not have these documents, please contact our legal office following the hearing. It is imperative that you review the rules closely and adhere to them before and during the protest hearing. You're also required to complete and submit the protest information form, which is a PIP, and the exhibit form 7 days before the date of the hearing. These two forms and accompanying documents need to be submitted to ABCA's legal division and all opposing parties in this matter. So basically, if matter goes to the hearing, you'll get a PIP. You have to complete the PIP 7 days before, and it needs to be served on the other party, and it needs to be served on our legal office. And the PIP, the form is self-explanatory, but you would have to list the witnesses you're going to call and the documents you're going to rely upon. So it's very important that if this matter goes to a protest hearing, 7 days before the hearing, these documents are provided to us. Okay.
Are those provided by email or through snail mail?
Email is fine. All right. If we do not receive a copy of your PIP, your application, or your protest, whichever side you're representing, may be subject to dismissal. Likewise, if we do not receive a copy of the exhibit form and the exhibits themselves, your exhibits may be excluded from the record upon a finding that the opposing party has been prejudiced or no good cause for failure to submit has been shown. Likewise, witnesses other than a party may also be subjected to exclusion if not identified on the PIP. Accordingly, these forms are very important. They greatly assist the board in narrowing the protest issues, facilitating the process, and keeping the parties on point during the hearing. They likewise provide notice to the opposing parties, enabling them to better prepare for the hearing. As you are aware, all of our hearings are now conducted virtually. You will have 1 hour to present your case, and you will be only allowed to call 5 witnesses. If you require more time, and if you require more witnesses, you need to file a motion with our agency. So, as I said before, since we've never done a protest hearing for a cannabis license, and I'm not sure if the parties are aware that the way the process works, if it goes to the hearing, is that the board will provide an investigator who will contact you at some point to find out what the protest issues are. The investigator will write a report. If we go to the hearing, the way the hearing operates is that the licensee, the burden is on the licensee to show us that the license is appropriate for the location selected. So the licensee would go first. So they would do their opening statement, then the protestant would do their opening statement, then the board would call the investigator as a witness, and the investigator would share the report with the board. So the board will ask the questions of its investigator. Once the board has asked the questions of its investigator, then the licensee will have an opportunity to ask the investigator questions of the report that's written. The protestant would also have an opportunity to ask the investigator of their report. And once that's done, then the licensee would call its first witness and put its case on. So basically, it's like we're going through a hearing as you see in court. It's less formal, but that's the process that we would follow. So once the licensee has presented its case, then the protestant would have an opportunity to present its case and cross-examination of witnesses, and then you'll do closing. So that's how it is if we were to go to a hearing. But as you stated before, it appears that this case might be settled. The agency and the board, we support settlements, because at least if there's settlement agreement, we know that both parties have mutually agreed what is in the best interest of the community. And so we do support that. But if this matter cannot be settled, then the board will make a decision whether or not we will grant the license, or whether or not we'll grant the license, whether or not we'll deny the license, or we'll grant the license with conditions as requested by the community. So that's the process that's followed. Any questions, sir?
None for me, no.
Any questions? All right.
Mr.
luck.
Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Short.
thank you. For the owner, we have on the screen under his picture is Heisel, but he spelled his last name, but I didn't get it. So
That's okay.
I wish the next time, sir, you'd put your full name in your screen with you.
Sure.
So how do you spell your last name?
Sure, I can spell it for you. It's B as in boy, A, N like no, N like no, O-U-R-A-H, Banura. Yeah, B-A-N-N-O-U-R-A-H.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
kind.
you very much.
Of course.
All right. Good luck with your negotiation. As I stated before, the board supports the parties settling a matter if it can be settled. So good luck with your negotiations. If there's anything that the agency can do, in the sense of scheduling another mediation, we're here to help you. If you do not understand the process of this hearing, you can reach out to the agency. We're here to help both parties. So any questions that you have about the process, please reach out to the legal office. We will provide you with whatever guidance you need to move forward in this process, okay?
Thank you ever so kindly. I appreciate you. Thank you, everybody,
You're
for your
welcome.
time.
Have a great day. Thank you very much. All right, bye-bye. So you guys can hang up, yes. All right. Excuse me. The next case in our calendar is case number 23 PRO 00088, Shaw Howard Deli, license number 95169. This case has been canceled due to the dismissal of the protest. See board order number 2023-036. We now move to our show cause hearing status calendar. Our first case is case number 23 CMP 00013, Little Miss Whiskey's Golden Dollar, license number 79090. This case has been canceled. The board approved an offer in compromise. See board order number 2024-058. The next case in our calendar is case number 23 CMP 00024, DC Shenanigans, license number 8811 9. Mr. Oriana, can you please elevate the parties in this case?
Sure thing. Manali Mahmood, your access has been elevated. And Christopher Southcott, your access has been elevated. That is all, Chairman.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Sapka. Can you please identify yourself for the record by spelling and stating your name?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. This is Chris Southcott, first name Chris, last name Southcott, from DC's Office of the Attorney General, representing the district.
Good morning. Good morning, Miss Mahmoud. Can you please spell and state your name for the record?
Hi, good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the board. I'm Manal Mahmood with Malios O'Brien Sandground, MANALLE MAHMOUD.
Good morning. Mr. Southcott, are there any preliminary matters in this case?
Nothing from the government.
Thank you. All right, then any preliminary matters, Ms. Mahmoud?
No, not on behalf of the licensee.
All right, thank you. Then this matter is scheduled for a show cause hearing on March 20th, 2024 at 10:30 a.m. I would like to remind both parties that if this matter goes to a show cause hearing 7 days prior to the hearing, the parties are required to exchange documents and witnesses that they will rely upon. Failure by either side to provide these documents and or witnesses 7 days before the hearing, unless good cause is shown, the board can prevent that party from relying on documents and witnesses that have not been disclosed. Any questions?
None here.
All right, thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
All right. All right, the next case in our calendar is case number 23-251-00016, Madams Organ, license number 25273. Mr. Oriana, can you elevate the licensee in this case, or the licensee's representative?
Richard Bianco, your access has been elevated. That is all, Chairman.
Thank you. All right, good morning again. Mr. Southcott, can you please identify yourself for the record?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Chris Southcott, first name Chris, last name Southcott, from DC's Office of the Attorney General, representing the district.
Good morning, sir. Mr. Bianco, can you please identify yourself for the record and your representation?
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the board. My name is Richard Bianco, RICHARDBIANCO, and I am here on behalf of the respondent.
All right, fine, thanks. All right, Mr. Southcott, are there any preliminary matters in this case?
Nothing from the district.
Mr. Bianco, any preliminary matters?
No, Mr. Chair, nothing from the respondent.
All right, fine. Then this matter is scheduled for a show cause hearing on March 20th at 10:30 a.m. I would like to remind the parties that 7 days prior to the hearing, the parties are required to exchange documents and witnesses. Failure by either side to provide the other side with documents and witnesses, and also with the agency, unless good cause is shown, the board is empowered to prevent that party from relying on documents and witnesses that have not been disclosed 7 days prior to the hearing. Any questions?
Nothing from the district.
All right, thank you very much. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Let me call the other case. I see that the government had stated that it had to step away. So, Mr. Oriana, can you elevate the licensee in this case, please? I'm sorry. The next case in our calendar is case number 23-251-00006, Boulevard Lounge, license number 115385. Mr. Oriana, can you please elevate the licensee in this case? I think the government is Mr. Chenchi, and I think he had put something in the chat that he had to step away. But is there a licensee online for this case, sir?
No, I only see Colin Chenchi and investigator George Garcia. Apologies.
Okay. All right.
Investigator George Garcia, your access has been elevated. Colin Chenchi, your access has been elevated. That is all, Chairman.
All right, thank you. While we're waiting, let me call this other case. This is in our afternoon calendar. Case number 23 CMP 00068, Sangria Bar and Grill, license number 117012. This case has been canceled due to the submission of an offer in compromise to the board for its consideration later today. All right, I see the government is here. So let me have Mr. Oriana, can you do me one additional? Can you please do another all call to see if there is anyone for this establishment online?
Sure thing. Yeah, currently it's just the government, Christopher Southcott, and our court reporter in the waiting area.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, good morning, Mr. Chenchi. Can you please identify yourself for the record, please, by spelling and stating your name?
Morning, Chairperson Anderson. Colin Chenchi, COLLINCENCI, Assistant Attorney General with the Office of the Attorney General for the District of Columbia, representing the district today, and I'm sorry about my delay.
All right, good morning, sir. I see that the licensee is not here. We have put out some, we have checked, there is no one in waiting. Just before, have your office been in contact with this licensee?
We have not been in contact since the licensee's appearance at the status hearing for this case. We did send an offer in compromise before the status hearing, and he did attend the status hearing.
All right. And this matter is scheduled for a show cause hearing status. Is the government ready and able to move forward?
The government is prepared to proceed with a full show cause hearing today.
All right. Okay, pursuant to DC Official Code Section 25447E, the board has authority to proceed ex parte where the licensee waives the hearing or fails to appear unless the hearing is extended for good and sufficient cause. It's my understanding that I don't have the date in front of me, but the record reflects that the licensee was properly served. Do you have a copy of when the licensee was served? Do you know the date when the licensee was served, Mr. Chenchi?
Just a moment. I do not believe that I have a service form for this this specific case. I have it for a different case of this establishment. I do know that this hearing was scheduled to be held last month and was continued at the board's request.
I will put the date in later on today. When I'll ask legal to provide me the date when the licensee was properly served. Anyway, seeing no licensee here today and having no good and sufficient cause to extend this hearing, the board will proceed with the show cause hearing. All right. Do you wish to do an opening statement?
Mr. Chairperson, as a preliminary matter, The
Yes, sir.
the district would request that, given the absence of the licensee, that the absence of the licensee is tantamount to a default on the charges that are alleged in the show cause notice. The licensee is not here to contest these charges and is failing to do so. Therefore, the government would ask that the allegations in the show cause notice be deemed as true. And given that the case report for this particular matter is already in evidence under statute, that we be allowed to proceed, and ask that the show cause, that the matter be defaulted against the establishment, and that the board proceed with assessing a penalty consistent with DC Code section 25830.
Well, I think part of the concern is that I don't know what this case is about. So I need to put something on we need to have something on the record, so the board will have something on the record to base its decision on. So preliminarily, I think that maybe you don't have to put on a full case, but I would ask that you put some, maybe you could have the investigator highlight the report to state what the issues were, what the findings were, and we can move on from there. But I need to have something on the record so we'll have some type of factual basis for, once the board deliberates to make a decision, we'll have a factual basis to make the determination, sir.
Understood. We will proceed then.
Okay. But I said before, you do not have to do a full, you can just let us know what the facts are. There's no, and if the board has questions of the, I would say call the witness, present the facts. If the board members have questions, they can ask the questions, and the case is submitted, and the board will make a determination. I'm sorry. I just want to put on the record that the licensee was personally served on January the 11th, 2024 for the rescheduled hearing. So personal service was done on January the 11th, 2024. All right, so does the government have witnessed that they wish to call?
Yes.
Do you want to do a brief opening statement? You don't have to. It's up to you.
A very brief opening statement.
Go ahead, sir.
Good morning, members of the board. Today we are here in the show cause matter of NOAA Limited Liability Company, trading as Boulevard Lounge, located at 6233 Georgia Avenue Northwest, Washington, D.C. Today you'll hear on the morning of January 24th, 2023, MPD and ABCA responded to a call at Boulevard Lounge in response to reports of a fight, and the evidence will show that when they arrived, over 90 patrons were crammed inside of the establishment, whose license capacity was only 24. You'll also hear when ABCA investigated the events of that night, it learned how the establishment's security cameras were not operational before the establishment went completely radio silent to provide ABCA with requested documents. The show cause notice in this matter concerns charges that the licensee, 1, failed to ensure that its security cameras were operational in violation of DC Code Section 25836G1. 2, interfered in an investigation by not producing requested documents within 48 hours in violation of DC Code Section 25823A5E. And 3, operated over capacity in violation of DC Code Section 25762B1. The district bears the burden of proof and will be able to meet it through the testimony of our witness, ABCA investigator George Garcia. Investigator Garcia will testify that he was the investigator who responded to the call for ABCA at Boulevard Lounge on January 24th. He'll tell you how he learned that the establishment was operating over capacity, how the establishment told him its security cameras were not functional, and how the establishment eventually stonewalled him on his request for documents, despite him requesting multiple times. At the end of this hearing, it will be clear that the licensee violated the terms of its license and interfered in ABCA's subsequent investigation. And that is why at the end of this hearing, I'll ask you to find in favor of the District of Columbia and apply the maximum penalty consistent with DC Code Section 25830. We're ready to proceed.
Thank you. Do you have a witness you wish to call?
Yes, the district calls investigator George Garcia.
Mr. Garcia, can you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Your witness, sir.
All right. Good morning, investigator Garcia. Could you please state and spell your first and last name for the record?
George, George, Garcia, Garcia.
Where do you work?
At the Alcoholic Beverage and Cannabis Administration.
What is your position with ABCA?
I'm an investigator.
What are some of your roles and responsibilities as an investigator?
We conduct inspections and investigations of ABC licensed establishments within the District of Columbia.
Are you familiar with an establishment located at 6233 Georgia Avenue Northwest, Washington, D.C. called Boulevard Lounge?
Yes.
How are you familiar with this establishment?
I was assigned as the investigator to conduct the 251 investigation.
What's a 251 investigation?
It's an investigation initiated by MPD when an incident takes place at an establishment.
When did you receive this referral for a 251 investigation for Boulevard Lounge?
On Tuesday, January 24th of 2023.
What did the referral say?
The 251 investigation stated that an altercation took place at the establishment, and in the surrounding area, gunshots were fired or heard.
Did you respond to the establishment that evening?
I did.
And what did you do once you got there?
I made contact with the reporting MPD officer on site and spoke to him.
Who was that MPD officer?
That is MPD Officer McKay. Robert McKay.
Were you and Officer McKay, when you were speaking, were the two of you alone?
No, the owner was present as well.
And what's the name of the owner of Boulevard Lounge?
Germa Theodorus.
Can you spell that for the record, please, Mr. Garcia?
Yeah. His first name is Theodorus, Theodros. Last name Girma, Girma.
Was Mr. Girma there the entire time that you were speaking with Officer McKay, investigator?
Yes, he was.
What did the three of you discuss once you got there and made contact with Officer McKay?
Multiple things, but overall, the incident that took place inside of the establishment's occupancy, and the fact that the establishment was locking the door, which was a violation and a safety hazard according to MPD.
Well, let's go through those things one at a time. So first, the incident that you mentioned. What did you discuss with the two of them about the incident that caused you to go to Boulevard Lounge that evening?
It was an altercation that took place inside of the establishment where females were fighting of some sort. I'm not sure what escalated the altercation, but an altercation took place inside where both parties were separated, and one party was put on the outside of the establishment where the other party remained on the inside.
Did you assess any charges related to the establishment's license based on this incident?
On the incident as far as the altercation that took place?
The altercation itself, yes.
No.
Why not?
I couldn't determine. In my opinion, the establishment defused the situation, so they handled the situation according to their security procedures, putting one party out of the establishment where the other party remained in the establishment, which set to de-escalate the situation.
You also said that there were concerns that the establishment was operating over capacity.
Correct.
What did you all discuss about the establishment's capacity that evening?
So Officer McKay did make me aware that the establishment was operating on the inside with over 90 patrons inside of the establishment.
When Officer McKay said there were over 90 people in the establishment, was Mr. Gurma there with the two of you?
Yes.
How did Mr. Gurma respond to the assertion that there were over 90 people in Boulevard Lounge?
He stated that he was allowed more, his occupancy was for 84.
Did Mr. Gurma ever deny that there were over 90 people inside of the establishment that evening?
No, he did not.
So that was the conversation that you had with Officer McKay and with Mr. Gurma. Did you have any conversations with just Mr. Gurma that evening?
I did.
What did you discuss with him?
I advised Mr. Gurma that it was a violation to operate with more than 24 people in the violation because our ABRA only approved the establishment to operate within 24 of their occupancy.
You're saying that ABCA only approved 24 people in the establishment. Did you get a chance to look at that establishment's license?
I did.
Investigator, is it part of your role to draft case reports related to investigations that you conduct?
It is.
Would you recognize a copy of one for this establishment if I were to show it to you?
Yeah.
All right. Mr. Chairperson, District would just like to confirm for the record that the government's exhibit to the case report for Boulevard Lounge is already in evidence pursuant to 23 DCMR 1713.10.
Yes, it is part of the record.
All right. And may I share my screen?
Mr. Oriana, can you please allow Mr. Tunchi to share his screen?
Access has been granted.
Thank you.
All right. Investigator, I'm showing you what is in evidence as Government's Exhibit 1. Just trying to zoom in a little more. Can't quite see it yet, but that's all right. I'm just going to scroll through the entire document. Just review it silently to yourself as I do so. All right, investigator, is this the case report that you drafted for Boulevard Lounge related to this investigation?
Yes.
All right, I'm directing your attention to page, I believe, 11. Apologies, page 13. Do you see that page in front of you now?
Yes.
Is this the establishment's ABC license as it was in effect on the night of your investigation?
Yes.
What is the listed capacity for this establishment?
24.
This may seem like an obvious question, but the establishment has 90 people inside. Is that exceeding the listed capacity on this license?
Yes, it is.
I'm now going to direct your attention to page 7. Investigator, as part of this investigation, did you receive a case report from MPD regarding their investigation of this incident?
Yes.
Is this the case report that you received?
Yes, it is.
To your knowledge, was this written by that Officer McKay who you spoke about earlier?
Yes, it is.
Directing your attention to, in the public narrative section, the 4th paragraph. Can you please read that paragraph aloud for the board?
You said the 4th paragraph?
4th paragraph under public narrative.
Upon arrival, it was continuously observed that the rear and front doors of the establishment were locked. The amount of individuals present, to include staff that was present inside of the location, numbered over 90. Rough count even after some patrons had left.
Investigator, does that accurately reflect what Officer McKay told you the night that you were there?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So, investigator, after you had advised Mr. Gurma of these violations, did you leave the establishment that night?
I did.
Did you continue your investigation into Boulevard Lounge at a later date and time?
I did.
What did you do to continue your investigation?
I contacted Mr. Gurma via phone.
When was the first time you contacted him on the phone?
First time was on Wednesday, January 25th.
And what did you discuss with him on Wednesday, January 25th?
I discussed the overall concerns of the establishment and the altercation that took place in the establishment. And he was able to describe to me a lot clearer about the incidents that took place.
Well, we don't need to get back into the details of the incident if you didn't find any violations, but did you request anything from Mr. Gurma?
I did. I requested the amount of security and along with their names and contact information, along with video footage of the establishment of that night.
Again, let's go through them one at a time. That video footage, what did Mr. Gurma tell you when you requested the establishment's security camera footage?
He said that he would provide the footage initially. But in this contact, when I contacted him, he advised me that the video footage was not functioning.
So just so we're clear for the record, when you spoke to him on the phone on January 25th, he told you that the establishment security cameras were not functioning that evening?
Correct.
And you said also that you requested a list of security personnel. What did Mr. Gurma say to that request?
He said that he would provide the request.
Did you follow up this phone call that day with an email requesting the same information?
I did.
Did Mr. Gurma respond to that email that you sent on January 25th?
He did not.
Did you attempt to contact Mr. Gurma again to follow up your request for this information?
I did.
When was the next time you contacted him?
On February 1st of 2023.
How did you contact him on February 1st?
Via email.
Did he respond to the email that you sent him on February 1st, 2023?
He did not. He did not.
Did you also call him on February 1st, 2023?
Oh, yes, I did.
And did he answer that phone call or respond to it at all?
He did not.
When was the next time you attempted to contact Mr. Gurma as it relates to this investigation?
On February 9th, 2023.
How did you contact him on February 9th?
Telephone.
And did he answer this phone call or attempt to respond to it at all?
No.
Did you attempt to contact Mr. Gurma again after that February 9th attempted outreach?
I did.
When was that?
On February 15th.
February 15th, 2023?
Yes.
How did you attempt to contact him then?
Both via phone and email.
For the phone call, did he answer the phone or attempt to respond to the phone call at all?
He did not.
Did he respond to that email you sent him on February 15th?
He did not.
Investigator Garcia, to date, almost exactly 1 year after that last outreach, did Mr. Gurma ever send you the list of requested information?
He did not.
All right, thank you very much, investigator. I have no further questions at this time.
Thank you. Any questions by any board members? Go ahead, Mr. Short.
Thank you, Chairman Anderson. I guess it's still good morning to everyone. Investigator Garcia, how many years have you worked for ABCA?
5 years now.
5 years now. And on the investigation of this case, 2024, well, anyway, dealing here with Boulevard Lounge. You say you called and tried to get information and to no avail. Is that correct?
Correct.
You also testified that Police Officer McKay gave you firsthand information of him going there after reports of a fight inside of the establishment. Is that correct?
Correct.
Did anyone from Boulevard Lounge ever call and report there was a fight inside of their establishment?
I do not recall.
Upon Officer McKay getting there, did he noticed that the doors were locked on the front and back? Is that correct?
Correct.
And that while the doors were locked, there were over 90 people inside of an establishment that's only licensed for 24. Is that correct?
Correct.
In your 5 years of experience as an ABCA investigator, in your professional opinion, having locked doors for overcrowded establishment, front and back, should something happen terrible on the inside, how would those persons have gotten out? Well, let me rephrase that. The doors were locked, so they couldn't get out. So, in your opinion, was that a public safety hazard?
It was.
Would they have caused death or injury to persons on the inside there visiting or patronizing this particular licensee's establishment, Boulevard Lounge?
It could have.
Okay. I'm getting back now to locked doors. In your 5 years as an investigator, have you or any other investigators, to your knowledge, especially currently, been advised or experienced patrons who are breaking the law, just locking their doors and not opening them? Have you experienced that?
No, I have not.
Has that been the incidents of any investigators who work alongside you?
Where patrons are locking the doors to an establishment?
We're not patrons, the owner, the licensee.
Oh, no, rarely. There have been a few occasions, but it hasn't been something that happens often.
Okay, well, to your knowledge, whether it happens often or not, to your knowledge, why would a licensee lock the doors and not let you or the MPD or anybody else in?
If there's something to conceal something?
And that is a violation of ARBA codes, correct?
Correct.
And I would imagine the MPDs also with public safety. But at any rate, I thank you for an excellent report. And my last question is, to date, since this incident happened in January of 2023, it's been a year later. And I think it was your testimony from a question from Mr. Sensi, or Attorney Sensi, that you haven't received any information or heard anything back in all of your attempts to get information regarding your report and your testimony to us today. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you very much for an excellent report. Thank you for your 5 years of service to ABCA. And that's all I have, Chairman Anderson, at this time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions by any other board members? All right. Any redirect, sir?
No redirect. We ask that Investigator Garcia be excused.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Garcia, for your testimony this morning. Have a great day.
Thank you. Have a good one, guys.
Does the government have another witness it wishes to call?
No, we're ready to proceed with a brief closing statement.
All right, go ahead, sir.
Members of the board, today the government has proven that no limited liability company trading as Boulevard Lounge violated the terms of its license, and upon investigation, stonewalled ABCA for, at this point, almost to the day, a year. The evidence is shown today that Investigator Garcia went to the scene, went to Boulevard Lounge, and spoke face-to-face with Mr. Girma and with an MPD officer who was already there. And when that MPD officer was confronting Mr. Girma and raising concerns with Investigator Garcia that this establishment was operating at almost 4 times its licensed capacity under its alcohol license, Mr. Girma didn't deny it. Mr. Girma didn't object to it. Mr. Girma just simply said, oh, but my certificate of occupancy says that I have seating for 84 people. Even still, not enough for how many people were inside Boulevard Lounge. Even following the wrong number, they were violating the law. And Investigator Garcia continued his investigation into this establishment. He heard that he asked the establishment for security camera footage. And Mr. Girma's response to that was, well, the security cameras are broken. I can't give you the footage. They have an obligation under ABCA code. If they have security cameras in their establishment, they have to keep them in good working order. The establishment failed to do so, and that's a violation. And finally, Investigator Garcia, he didn't just do the bare minimum here. He didn't make one request, wait 48 hours, and pen up a report. No. He called the establishment on January 25th and said, well, not only if you can't give me the security camera footage, I need a list of the security personnel so I can continue my investigation. Followed it up with an email the same day. A week goes by. Nothing. Calls him again. No answer. Sends another email. No answer. Another week goes by. Calls him again. No answer. A third week goes by. Investigator Garcia reaching out 3 times after his initial phone call. Calls him on the phone, no answer. Sends an email, no answer. The evidence is uncontroverted, and it's undisputed. The establishment interfered in an investigation. The establishment failed to keep its security cameras operational, and the establishment operated over capacity. And even now, they continue to shirk their responsibility, not even appearing before this board to explain a side of the story, to even just ask for the board to have some form of leniency. The establishment clearly is not taking this seriously. And now it's in the board's charge to ensure that they do. That's why I am asking for you to find not only in favor of the District of Columbia, but to apply the maximum penalty consistent with DC Code Section 25830. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. All right, this matter is, the record is closed. All right, as chairperson of the Alcoholic Beverage and Cannabis Board for the District of Columbia, in accordance with DC Official Code Section 2575 of the Open Meetings Act, I move that the ABC Board hold a closed meeting for the purpose of seeking legal advice from our counsel on case number 23251-00006 Boulevard Lounge, pursuant to DC Official Code Section 2575B4A of the Open Meetings Act, and deliberating upon case number 23251-00006 Boulevard Lounge for the reasons cited in DC Official Code Section 2575B13 of the Open Meetings Act. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. I will now take a roll call vote on the motion before us now that it has been properly seconded. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. As it appears that the motion has passed 3-0, I hereby give notice that the ABC Board will recess this proceeding to hold a closed meeting pursuant to Section 2575 of the Open Meetings Act. Thank you very much, sir, for your presentation this morning. The board will take this matter under advisement and will issue a decision within 90 days. Thank you. Have a great day.
Mr. Chair, have a good day.
All right. All right. Thank you. All right, we are now at the end of the calendar for the day. So since we're now at the end of the calendar for the day, I'm going to do our agenda items for the day. The first agenda item that I will go over this morning. It's our legal agenda. Review of an offer in compromise of, number one is a review of an offer in compromise in lieu of a hearing dated February 2nd, 2024 for case number 23 CMP 00068 Sangria Bar and Lounge, Sangria Bar and Grill, license number 117012. The offer in compromise is as follows. Charge 1. Purchase alcoholic beverage from off-premises retailer is the first primary tier violation. Statutory authority, DC Code Section 25113A5A. The term as a fine of $1,000, which will be payable within 30 days. If the fine is not payable within 30 days, the license shall be suspended indefinitely until the fine has been paid. Is there a second?
Mr. Short, I second.
Mr. Short, I second the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 2, review of applicant's motion to stay protest pending appeal dated February 6, 2024 in case number 23 PRO 00096. This is DC Food Market license number 106962. I make a motion that we deny this request. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 3, review of applicant's motion to stay protest pending appeal dated February 6, 2024 in case number 23 PRO 00097 King Convenience Store, license number 089932. I make a motion that we deny this request. Is there a second?
Short, I second.
Mr. Short, I second the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 4, review of protestants' request to reaffirm standing from prior protest case. This is case number 23 PRO 00092. That's the previous case dated February 8th, 2024. And the protestant is asking their standing be reaffirmed in case number 24 PRO 00018. Nance Market, license number 111233. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 5, review of protestants' request to reaffirm standing from prior protests. This was in case number 23 PRO 000982, dated February 10th, 2024. Excuse me, in case number 24 PRO 00018, Grace Market, license number 120092. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. We now move to our licensing agenda. The first matter on our licensing agenda is a review application for safekeeping of license. This is for flight license number 091704. I make a motion that we approve this request through September 30th, 2024. Is there a second?
Short, I second.
Mr. Short has seconded the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 2, review application for safekeeping of licenses is for Smoking Pig, license number 104866. I make a motion that we approve this request through September 30th, 2024. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. We now move to our supplemental licensing agenda. The first matter on our supplemental license agenda is a review request to remove the license from safekeeping to reopen on February 21st, 2024. This is for Afghania, AFGHANIA, license number 118936. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 2, review request to reclassify the approved summer garden spaces as sidewalk cafe as they have turned out to be on public space. This is for Patsy's, PASTIS, license number 120260. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second. Oh, sorry.
Mr. Short and Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 3, review request to correct the premise address to 141 N Street Southeast. This is for Maman, MAMAN, license number 124925. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. We now move to our cancellation agenda. I make a motion that the cancellation agenda for February 14th, 2024 be approved without objection. Is there a second?
Short, a second.
Mr. Short has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Now let's move to our medical cannabis licensing agenda. The first matter on our medical cannabis license agenda, this is the standard retail applications. Number 1, review of standard application for a new retailer license with delivery and education tasting endorsement. This is for Verge Enterprise LLC, license number 127258. I make a motion that we refer this matter back to licensing. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 2, review of standard application for a new retail license with delivery endorsement. This is for Green Label. License number 127434. I make a motion that we refer this matter back to licensing. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. We now move to our standard internet retailer application. Review of standard application for a new internet retailer license. This is for Herbal Harvest, license number 127542. I make a motion that we refer this matter back to licensing. Is there a second?
Short, I second.
Mr. Short has seconded the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. This is now the current license application on this agenda. Review a standard application for Summer Garden endorsement. This is for Tacoma Wellness Center, license number 117361. I make a motion that we placard this matter. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. We now move to our board temporary license and one-day substantial change application. The first request is a request from Pangitas Panagritopoulos. So the first name is spelled Pangiotis. The last name is spelled Panagiotopolous. He's made a request for a one-day license class F for the Greek festival. This is a Saint Sophia Greek Orthodox Festival. This is May 17th through May 19th. The license number is 1275777. 500 attendees, 18 security guards. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant, I second the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 2, a request from Joyce to pass a one-day license class F, food, wine, education class, Georgetown Day School. This is on for May 16th. The license number is 1275853. 300 attendees, 6 security guards. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant, I second the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 3, a request from Millicent Hawkins, a one-day license class F holiday party. This is February 17th. The license number is 1275778. 100 attendees, 2 security guards. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I'll agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 4, a request from Michelle Gleaton, a one-day license class G reception, Capitol Jewish Museum, February 29th. The license number is 17579. 200 attendees, 4 security guards. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Short, I second the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 5, DC District Winery, one-day substantial change. Ice Yards Festival. This is to use license off premises at Yards Park for Ice Yards. This is on February 24th. The license number is 098684. The substantial change license is 24 SC 00547. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 6, hold on 1 minute, please. I apologize. All right, let's get back to this agenda. Number 6, a request from Asteria Morinini Nicolette Morinini Piccolo, a one-day substantial change. This is for the Ice Yards Festival. The one-day substantial change, he used license off premises at Yards Park for Ice Yards. This is on February 24th. The license number is 092083. The substantial change license is 24 SC 00548. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Mr. Short, I second.
Mr. Short, I second the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 7, a request from Aqua 301, a one-day substantial change for Ice Yards Festival. This is the nature of substantial change. Use license off premises at Yards Park for Ice Yards. This is on February 24th. The license number is 092094. The substantial change license 24 SC 00549. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 8, a request from Alibi Maxwell DC for one-day substantial change. This is for the Ice Yards Festival. Nature of substantial change, use license off premises at Yards Park for Ice Yards, February 24th. The license number is 115589. Substantial change license is 24 SC 00550. Make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 9, a request from Entertainment Factory LLC. This is a pub crawl. This is a Lucky St. Patrick's Day crawl. The event was conditionally approved on January 24th, 2022. And so we're now making I make a motion that we approve this event for 2000. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 10, this is a request from Lindy Promotional. This is for pub crawl. This is the Leprechaun lap. This was conditionally approved, I think, on March 16th, 2024. So we are now going to make a final approval for 2,000 participants. The license number is 110455. I make a motion that, the substantial change license is 23 PC 00040. So I make a motion that we make a final approval for 2,000 in this case. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 11. This is for Lindy Promotions Pub Crawl. This is for the Crawl de Mayo. This is May 4th, 2022. The license number is 110455. The substantial change license 23 PCE 00041. I make a motion that we conditional grant approve this for 1,000. Is there a second?
A second.
Mr. Short, I second the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short,
Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant,
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 12, Regmo Promo Holding Inc. is for pub crawl. This is the Unthinko You Drinko bar crawl. This was previously approved on May 4th, the event is May 4th, 2024. Excuse me, it was previously approved on November 15th, 2023. And the license number is 104072. The substantial change is 23 PCE 00032. So I make a motion for the final approval for 1,000. Is there a second?
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to second that, but I would really like to request that you give the pub crawls neighborhoods they're going to be in for the record, please. So I will second that. But you have not been giving us the neighborhoods.
I have never given the neighborhoods for any time I've ever done this, but I will do this, Mr. Short. Number 12, promo, it's Regmo Promo Holdings Inc. Pub Crawl. It's the Cinco You Drinko Bar Crawl. The event date is 5/4/24. It was previously approved for 11/15/2024. The hours of the event are from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. The hours of alcohol sales is from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. The portion of the premises, multiple location, U Street corridor from 11th Street up to 14th and U Street Northwest. The license number is 104072. The substantial change license is 23 PCE 00032. Mr. Short has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 13, Regmo Promo Holdings Inc. is a pub crawl. The Caribbean Bar Crawl. This event is on May 25th, 2024. It was previously approved on November 15th, 2023. The hours of the event is from 2 to 10. Alcohol sales from 2 to 10. This is on the U Street corridor from 11th Street to 14th and U Street Northwest. The license number is 104072. The substantial change license 23 PCE 00033. I make a motion that we make a final approval for 1,000. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant, second the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. I'm going to ask the board to retroactively approve this event. This is for 600T. It was for 1 day substantial change. It was 1 day substantial change, use a license off premises on the establishment's patio. This was on February 13th, 2024. The license number is 100515. The substantial change license is 24 SC 00546. I therefore make a motion that the board retroactively approves this event. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passes 3-0. And we now do our final agenda for the day. And our final agenda is the license administrative docket. On the license administrative docket for today, there are 14 licensees. And without objection, I make a motion that all 14 be approved. Is there a second?
Short, I second.
Mr. Short, I second the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. And we're now at the end of our agenda for the day. We are also at the end of the board's calendar and agenda for the day. So if there are no further business, I'm going to make a motion that we close and that we adjourn for the day. As chairperson of the Alcoholic Beverage and Cannabis Board for the District of Columbia, and in accordance with Title III, Chapter 405, Office of Open Government, I move that ABC Board hold a closed meeting on February 23rd for the purpose of discussing and hearing reports concerning ongoing or planned investigations of alleged criminal or civil misconduct or violations of law or regulations, and seeking legal advice from our legal counsel on the board's investigative agenda, legal agenda, and licensing agenda for February 23rd, as published in DC Register on February 16th. Sorry, is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call. I will now take a roll call vote on the motion before us now that it has been properly seconded. Mr. Short.
Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. As it appears that the motion has passed, I hereby give notice that the ABC Board will hold this closed meeting. Pursuant to the Open Meetings Act, notice will also be posted on the ABC Board hearing room bulletin board, placed on electronic calendar, on ABCA's website, and published in the DC Register in as timely a manner as practical. We're now adjourned for the day. I would like to thank the members of the public who participated in the hearing today, and I also would like to thank our board members who also participate actively in this hearing today. Having no further business, we adjourn for the day. I now direct all board members to return to executive session for further action. Thank you. Have a great day.